All right. Hi, everyone. How long is this delay? All right. Hi, everyone. Okay, that's a minute. All right. So, hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am super excited today because I've been doing some work and is getting traction for my project that I am working on. So I am beyond excited about that. It ties into why we are, the title is 6 Ways to Get More Time and why this is part 3. I'll recap the other strategies. But just like I said in the previous video, if you want more time, but then you don't know what to do with that time, more time is not coming. Or if you are feeling overwhelmed and you want more time, you have to be strategic about what do you really need to let go and how do you need to structure your day. I'm also anchoring this down with if you don't have a bigger vision and then taking something from that vision to make it like a project for you to laser focus on, you're still going to be up in the air, swirling around and feeling the struggle between time. So you need to have a reason for your time. You need to be intentional about your time. Same thing with money. If you want a whole bunch of money to come, then what are you going to do with the money instead of save it up and store it up? Same thing with time. What are you going to do with it? Just stay at the beach all day? I know a lot of people say, oh, I just, want to work from home or start a business. So I can only work 4 hours a week and, spend the rest of the time, doing what I want to do, relaxing. One, you don't know what you're going to do. And two, have you ever really gone to the beach or somewhere and really just sat and after the after you sit there for a few days, after you do all the activities, then what? Especially if you have breath in your body and you're still active, it is going to get old very, very fast. And that's coming from someone who pretty much been in like the education system. And I'm talking about the schedule of you have summers, quote unquote, off, or you have these extended breaks, quote unquote, off, where technically you don't have to do anything else. And you can ask a lot of educators and college professors or people who operate on that schedule. They're not chilling out the entire time. They're actually doing other things. So just be careful what you ask for or wish for or you desire. Even your desires need to have structure. All right. So I'm excited because things are moving in the project. I set up my day to where I focus. I got that from Shanda Sumter. She calls it priority focus. A lot of people call it a whole bunch of different things. But because I'm working on a project that's connected with her, that's what I'm calling it. And I already have a time blocked out of what of tasks and things that I do, but it feels so much better when it is tied to a specific project that can link to a bigger purpose and goal, and then you actually track it. Like if I turn the camera around, you'll see all the things on my wall that I am actually tracking, and it's getting me more excited to do it. Even though some things, like some people are telling me no about participating in my project, I'm cool. It's whatever because it's me getting in the action of actually doing the work. And if you are finding yourself not being motivated, inspired about the things that you have to do or want to do, remember, I'm tying this back to school. People can say whatever they want to say about the school system and the structure. Part of my mission is to help you understand the positive side of that. For many of us, we excelled in that environment. One, because it was like an incubator and you were focused, and two, it was progress monitoring. There were things you had to track along the way for you to be successful. And there were benchmarks and milestones and people holding you accountable. That's one main reason why you were successful. When I say successful, you finished. For the people who went in and it did not work for them, the structure didn't, that type of environment didn't work for them. College is not for everybody. And I'm taking this out of connecting it with income because we can have, that's a different conversation. And me, even as a former college professor, I would approach anybody going into traditional education that route differently. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the actual structure. And when you look at successful people, and you just define how they're successful, whether they are operating like a family and it's a well-oiled machine, if they have a business and it's running like a well-oiled machine, or if they have some kind of organization that they're running, it is based on structure. And if you've been in that environment, guess what? You can do it too. I can do it too. And when I made the true correlation between the skill sets and tool sets that I learned all the way up to being a college professor, because I was still in that environment, I was like, I've been tripping this whole time. No wonder things felt hard, because I operate like this. I can do multiple things at once. And when I say multiple, that doesn't mean like multitasking or anything like that. But I taught like 3 different classes at one time. I had to organize that structure. Anyway, I won't go into details, but it was a structure in place, and I knew how to optimize my time, especially as a college professor, because I had way more time off than on. But and then when I learned how to systematize and structure and prepare, that's going back. I'll recap the strategies. Then I was like, oh, that's how it opened up more time for me. I was able to write my book. I did a lot of speaking engagements. I was able to start a consulting business. This was all while I was a college professor. And then for some reason, when I wasn't a college professor anymore, and I was like, I'm going to go do this full time, it fell apart because I had to operate what was best for me outside of what the other coaches and consultants would say. That's why that's why I'm an advocate of you knowing yourself first, not to the point where you resist everything a coach or a consultant tells you, but you have to label it through their perspective. A lot of the coaches and consultants that I worked with before didn't have college degrees, you know, and they were still successful, especially monetarily and doing things in their business, but the way they were approaching things didn't work for me and didn't make sense for me. Now, I'm not saying what they did was wrong, but I had to find like, yeah, but this is how I operate. And it took me a while to figure out how to use the information that they have, but put it in what makes sense for me. So this is why I'm giving you 6 strategies. So let me recap the other ones, and then I have an appointment. I have a call to get on. I'm so excited. So this is going to be short. All right. So the first strategy that I talked about, I want to remind you of, is the morning ritual. And I have now I don't have a piece of paper, but I have my, what you call it, eraser. So I'm not going to write the whole thing, but I just want to give you the visual. I do have the full workbook in like my resource vault, which you can go to. Let me put it in the comments. When I come back and update the description, I'll make sure I have that for you. But I'm going to, is it going to let me? Mm-mm. All right, I guess I'm not going to do it. Okay, I can't chat on my, okay, here it is. Let me go ahead and write that in there. It's Dr. Vernita Glenn White.com/master coach you. All right, there it is. And so you can get the entire workbook and the official training on that. Is complimentary. Go over there, get it. So the first strategy was your morning ritual or your routine, your start up, your shutdown, and then your evening. And it's just 4 boxes. Not that you needed this visual, but a good visual. And it's set up in 4 boxes. And what you do in those 4 boxes, you list out every single thing, and then you give yourself a time. And then you calculate the time for each one of those boxes. So if it takes you 45 minutes to do your morning ritual or routine, well, it should, I'm not gonna say should, but if that's all the time, and then you block out, I was to give yourself a cushion, block out an hour and put it on your calendar so you can track your time, like bookend it. For your startup, you can block out a time on your calendar to where that's where you're focused and you're getting yourself started for your work day or your business, whatever. Same thing for your shutdown. Remember, the importance of your shutdown ritual is to turn it off so that you can open yourself up for other things that you want to do, and then do your evening routine if that's something you want to do before you go to bed. Then the second, oh, and that was from Michael Hyatt. The second strategy was renaming your outcome versus your duty. I got that from Lisa Nichols, and she talks about not, it's like a mind hack and way. I don't have to write this out. It's just 2 columns, but you talk about your outcome that you want, and then you rename the duty. I'm writing it anyway. So if one example was, if you need to, so outcome, it's going to look different for everybody because it's based on what kind of calendar or planner you have. So the outcome, let's say you know that you want to focus on your health, especially nutrition. But if you see anything that says diet or don't eat this or whatever whatever you see that's stopping you from getting the results, you have to trick yourself and do this mind hack of renaming it something else. So one example she gave was refueling my body, and that worked for her versus going on a diet. So you pick out something that works for you. If you don't like to work out, but the end result is getting your sexy back, we'll call it your end result that you desire. If you don't like to make sales calls, but you want to, I don't know, take a luxury trip or whatever, well, you serving your clients and your business and making those calls, the outcome is this is what you get. And nobody's judging you. And I felt some type of way when it sounds like, people were living the lifestyle. I'll say this first, living a certain lifestyle, and you're like, well, you got that lifestyle because, you charge these people X, Y, and Z. Well, absolutely, because they're providing people a service. They have an excess because they serve a lot of people. So for people that are coming into entrepreneurship or business, again, I think they're 2 different things, but let me know what you think. But you have to get that in your mind. Becoming an entrepreneur, being a business owner is not about just being your own boss so you can make money and have this free time. It is the level of service. And I am working on this and making it sure it sinks in my head that money is a result, and it's kind of correlated to the impact that you are leaving on the lives of people. Now, people can say whether that impact is positive or negative, but it's still an impact and it's still a result, because money is not going to judge. Money is like, well, there's a result. So anyway, that's another conversation for another day. I said that to say, if you're in business, you have to name your sales something else, because you do have to sell. And if selling makes you feel some type of way, just know that that's part of a business, and that selling is truly, truly service. And if you are a good person, of course, you're going to do good things. So there it is. So that's the second strategy, was renaming your task for it to be the outcome instead of the thing that you don't want to do. The third strategy, and I got that from Amy Porterfield. She calls it your desire zone, and she has it operating like front off. Oh, hold on. She calls it front stage, backstage. I want to show you the visual, kind of, because it makes a lot of sense. She calls it front stage, backstage, and off stage. Okay, now I can't do it. Anyway, and it's like a gear. So it's 3 gears. There's your front stage gear, your off stage gear, and your backstage gear. You need all of those operating in motion so you can function in life. So you're not fully on all the time, doing all the things, the videos, the podcasts, the presentations, the speaking, all of that. And then you can't only be in the background, just writing your emails, preparing for your talks, working on your products, your courses, and things like that. That can't be the only thing you do. It's important. Don't be out here winging stuff. And then make sure I say it right. Then your off stage is where you do a total reset, disconnecting from both of those, because that is a way that you refuel and recharge, and you actually become more creative. The educators who actually love what they do, when they are off during the summer or the winter breaks or whatever break, they really do come back fully charged and ready to go. I was like that, until it really got to the point. But anyway, because I was away from, I didn't have to think about it, because the good thing is once it's off, the semester's over, you can pick up, something totally new. A lot of uh, highly successful people, and again, you defined success. When they take time off, and they're taking months off. We don't even have to go that high. My mom worked for a dentist, and every August, he took his family down to Key West to go lobster diving. And the whole month off, practice and no practice, he set it up. Somebody be there to work on your teeth, right? But when he came back, my mom would say this, he always had fresh ideas of how he wanted to grow his practice and what he wanted to do for the clients, this, that, and the other. So it was cool that Dr. P was out of the office. Now they still went to work, but it was kind of like chill time. They was just kind of getting paid to be there. It wasn't a lot, happening. But she said every time he would come back, they got raises and bonuses, because it was just like this fresh energy that was surged through. So then they would joke around like, you don't want to take 2 months off? So I don't want to keep going so high level so you think it's out of reach. But that was, he was just a dentist in a local practice, and it worked for him. So it could definitely work for you. All right. The fourth strategy was theme days. So if you are wanting to focus like really on your life, block it out, and you can say, well, I'm focusing on love. However that looks for you today, I'm focusing on spirituality and things that you need to do. That doesn't mean that you do everything spiritual or everything the whole day is full of love, but it's a focus that you do, and you themed it out, and you do that over time, so that you start building that muscle and you start feeling that tank. And then when you feel like you have a structure and system around that, then you can go to something else. Another way to look at theme days, some people call it block time, to where on Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe that's your filming days, and you have already have your scripts and everything done, and you just crank them out. I used to do that a lot, batch create, same thing with writing. Think about school. When you were in college or even in K-12, you had class periods. So when you were in math period, second period, your focus, well, should have been on math, second period. When you went to fifth period, if that was language arts or whatever, that was your focus. In college, when on Tuesdays you had foundations of something and economics, your mom was on foundations or whatever in economics. When you went to Thursday, if it was 2 classes or 3 classes, you knew that was your focus. And so you set up your time that way. Guess what, adults? It benefits a lot of us if we do that. If you have gotten away from that and you're feeling like, why aren't things successful, or things happening, or you're not getting your results, you got to go back to the rivers and lakes that you're used to. You shift your mindset, but the structure would be important for you. And if you need support with that, I would be so happy to talk with you and get a structure in place so you can actually see your time. And this next strategy, I'll go ahead and give you the questions, and you can do it on your own. But if you want support, definitely connect with me, and that information will be down below as well. So strategy number 5 is called a brain dump. And this is important for you to do. And I did this with one of my coaches. You can go look her up, Dr. Tracy Timberlake. She did this. I don't remember what it was, why we did it. Was it? I think it was like the foundations of like starting your business. So she asked 7 questions, and then we had to do a pie chart. When people were like, I don't use this in real life. Yes, you do. So when you do a brain dump, I have to go back and see if it's in focus. So when you do a brain dump and you're going to answer these questions, you're going to see how much time you're actually spending somewhere. Don't talk about my percentages, because this is not drawn to scale. So 80% of your time, 5% of your time, you don't know how much of your time. That is important for you to know how much time you're spending on something. So one question is, what do you want? I told you all of this time structure is based on the vision that you have for your life. If it's a big vision, then you chunk it down to some goals. Like, what do I want to do in this amount of time? Because for some of us, when we think so big, it's like, oh, absolutely not. Don't worry about it. So it's like, if you think about this, for some people, when they say you got to go to college and all they hear is, oh my gosh, it's 4 years of my life, I'm definitely not going to do that. I can't do that. I don't see a way to do that. For a lot of us, it's like, oh, 4 years? What? Okay, then we automatically go, what do I need to do my freshman year? What do I need to do in the spring semester? What class do I need to take in the summer? We immediately break that down. And it's been like that for a while. Like we've been in that system. So why don't you think you need to do the same thing here? So chunk it down. What do you want? Even give yourself just a small thing. I want to release 15 pounds in the next 2 months. Good. Have that. I want to have a better relationship with my sibling. Okay, great. That's what you want. Now, that's a harder question because the easier question, people know, what don't I want? That's an easier question that people ask themselves. So what don't you want? But you do have to answer you do have to answer what do I want? Both are important. And then the next one says list everything that you do in a day or a week. Some people may say this takes too much time and it doesn't take all of that. But if you're not getting the results or you're not moving forward, then it's going to require you to do the work, right? I don't know where we got, and I've been guilty of this too. Like, oh gosh, is there an easier way? Either you're going to pay somebody to do it or you're going to do it yourself or it's not going to get done. But when it's things like this, you need to do it for yourself because nobody can think like you. Nobody can jump inside your head. And even if somebody is sitting there with you and you're dictating, you still have to go in your mental brain and think, and you have to do it. So just do the work. So list out every single thing that you do. And it's important because we're going to come back to this pie chart. And then the next one says, how much time does it take? So if you are doing, that's what goes. See, a lot of these can be integrated. If you're doing your morning routine and it takes you 90 minutes, then you write 90 minutes. That could be cool. I'll get to that. So you need to say how much time does it take. Sometimes we overestimate and a lot of times we underestimate. You have to know which person you are. We're never really spot on. So you may think that it takes you, just 10 minutes to get yourself ready, your breakfast ready. But you probably dibble dabble and a whole hour has gone by. So you need to be honest. If you're not honest with your time and actually look at it, then it's not going to succeed because who are you lying to? And then I said, create a pie chart of time and fill in the gaps to see how much time you really have. This is for the people who say, I don't have enough time in the day. I know a lot of people like to say, Oprah or Beyonce or insert your mega person. Not saying that they're my people, but I know I hear that a lot. You have the same amount of time as Oprah. You got the same amount of time as Beyonce. And then you do have the same 24 hours, but they pay people to handle other things so that they themselves have more time. And you don't have to be Oprah, Beyonce, the president. You don't have to be these people. There are literally everyday people who get their meals delivered to them, the house cleaning for them, laundry services for them, whatever it is. We can all do those small things, right? If you're saying, oh, it's so much time. I mean, I don't have enough time. Yes, you do. But it's like, do you want to stop controlling that for yourself? So I know for me, when I really got the connection, I'm like, yes, who am I hiring next? I need a team of people around me. And let me tell you why that is like, duh, why wasn't I thinking of that? As a college professor, when you're working, this makes sense to me. And it may make sense for you if you're working a corporate job. For the most part, all you have to do is show up and do the thing that you're actually good at, your highest income producing activity. Everything else is pretty much taken care of. The people come in, the lights are on, or for us, we had a secretary that it was just a lot of things taken care of. And then when you're out of that structure, you go, even in undergrad, for the most part, I don't know where you went, but for me, the people came to not clean up the room, but certain things were done. The food was done. You just had to go walk in there and get it. It's just a lot of things that were already like taken care of that you don't think. But then when you come into adult land, especially entrepreneur land, you're like, wait a minute. I wish I would have made the connection. Like somebody should told me, instead of investing so much over here, build up your team. Even if it's on your personal side only, build up your team so you can have that ecosystem. All right. that was a little tangent because I gotta hurry so I can get ready for the call. All right, so then list everything or most things that you want to do based on the categories you want to focus on. So when you realize how much time you actually have, that kind of goes back to the theme days, or if you want to focus on the outcome days, you put that in your calendar. I did that for a client and she was like, oh, I felt so tired. I'm so overwhelmed. And then she realized, she was like, I have like 20, 30 hours left in a week. I could go get a whole nother job if I wanted to. Great, but we're not getting a job. You're going to start your business that you wanted to do, right? But she was just like, I've been putting this off, thinking I was so busy she was a professor too. I was so busy that I didn't have time to do what I really wanted to do. And I thought I was going to have to quit, but she actually loved being a professor. And I was like, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to quit. You can do both. All right. I had another client who she was like really big, a high level exec, and she wanted to write these like romance kind of novels, totally opposite of what she does in the daytime. And she was like, I just don't have time to write because I'm writing for work and this, that, and the other. And then so I asked her, like, what do you do in the morning? And we went through this, and she had 90 minutes of unaccounted for, 90 minutes of unaccounted for. Is that right? Time. And I was like, you're really focused. When you focus, you great. You can crank stuff out. Why can't you just do this in the morning? Because family was important to her. She wanted to make sure that she spent time with her family before things got busy. But even before she spent time with the family, she still had that 90 minutes of where she was just floating around in the morning, kind of like dilly-dallying throughout, where she could just set some things up the night before and priority focus. And I'm using that word. That's not my word. I told you where I got that from, but have that focused time and write, and then she still get to have time with her family and then go off to do the work. Some people say, well, I don't want to get up that early. Well, then you don't want to write. I mean, she didn't say that, but I'm just giving you an example, right? So you have to track your time. In school, the time was tracked. You knew how many hours you spent on campus. You knew how many hours you spent in class. If you went to tutoring, if you went hanging out with your friends, if you went to any extracurricular activities or organizations, a lot of us were really good when we were in that structure. Same thing applies. And then the last one is, I already said that. How much time oh no, how much time will it take for you to do the new things that you want to do? I like to do 90 minutes, like have a buffer around things. For things that I think that's going to take like an hour. If it's something that's really quick, a lot of things you can just put them together and just knock them out. But any projects or thing, I give myself 90 minutes. So like this morning in that window, I said, okay, this is our goal to send this amount of information out. And that's what we do. But if you don't get it done, which I push myself to do it, you have to stop here and go on to the next thing. I know, I mean, some people, let me know your thoughts about that. Some people are like, no, you finish until the thing is done. But I realize for me, I can be so like drilled down on that. And maybe, I don't know, I don't know if that's good or bad for right now for this project. Is working to where I focus. Let me just do this one thing here. After that window is open or I hit that target, then I go to the next thing. So that way I can put that to the side. I accomplish what I need to accomplish for that day. And then I move on to something else. And that has worked for me. So think about school when you were in, economics class, when the time was up and the professor said go and you went on to history, you weren't, well, it wasn't like you were actively like, oh my gosh, I didn't finish the lecture in history. Even the professor, I've done that. Well, I'll see y'all next week and we'll pick up right where we started. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So that's all I have for you. Wait, no, my apologies. No, it's not. That was the last one for this one. The last strategy is strategy 6. I call it the brilliant week. Michael Hyatt called it, I forgot what he called it because it's not mine, but I like the name. I like to call it your brilliant week. I think he calls it your best week ever or your perfect week, something like that. I don't know, but the concept is his concept. The concept is you see a full calendar or schedule Sunday through Saturday, maybe from the time you wake up 5 a.m. to the time you go to bed till 11 p.m., whatever. And then you imagine, you visualize, see this, all of this is connecting. You visualize like if this was the best week ever, and everything worked out, what would it look like? And you just have it and you mark it up. You don't change anything. It's not your real one, but you're just giving yourself the capacity to dream, to feel it, and know that and to see what's possible and know that it can be possible. When you do that, then you're like, well, let me add this, let me take this part of my brilliant week or my best week and let me insert it in what's really happening in real life. And then it's kind of like you can start tweaking it and bringing things over, and then you can end up saying, oh, I have the perfect calendar, the perfect schedule for me. And when I say perfect, that means it is working, not that there are never interruptions. But guess what? This is what I learned too. Interruptions are also planned for. And you're like, well, how? Because when you give yourself a break or a window, then anything that pops up, it goes into that time. That's beyond this small training here. But people who are highly effective and efficient, I got that from watching several of those videos, and they were like, no, it's planned for. So there nothing just springs up or pops up on me. And I'm like, wow, I aspire to that level. So I know it's possible. So when I say perfect, it means you are in charge and you are on top of what's happening. You're not reactive, you're proactive. So a fire that literally comes up, you're cool, calm, and collected, because it's almost like you're borrowing time from somewhere else, but everything, I don't know, it's just amazing. But start there. If you're all over the place, don't worry about that. Start with those strategies I told you about. If you are new, hi, I'm Vernita, the Brilliant Solutionist, and I do a lot of things, but the most thing, especially because I'm in the middle of this project, is really helping you get through the messiness in your mind and clear that out of the way sooner, quicker, faster, so you can get to the money or the manifestation that you desire in your life. And when I say money, is it's related to you starting a business or starting a project and doing those things, but it's in your mind as to why you're not getting that, right? And then the manifestation, that's the results that you want, that you desire. So we're not talking about all up in the air, but even Jesus manifested things to happen. He got the 2 loaves of bread and fish, and he multiplied it. And as I'm studying and reading more, it's because his mind was clear. And so imagine what happens when your mind is clear and the things that you can do in your life. So that's a lot of things what I do and really help you get the desired results that you want. I've been very good at that, and I have to own that. And I'm so proud of myself for saying it. And so that's all I have for you today. Let me go get my mind right for my call, because I'm so excited about that, because things are happening quickly. I will keep you updated. Thank you so much for listening and learning with me. Wherever you are, whether it's beginning of your day or ending of your day, remember to be well, to be empowered, to be bold, and to be brilliant. Like, comment, share. And if you like this vibe, go ahead and subscribe so you can get notified whenever I go live or post a new video. All right. Bye.